Right then, there's a player that is undoubtedly moving this summer, and he was going to go for big, big money. And that player is Declan Rice. He's been linked with United. He's been linked with Arsenal. He's been linked with Bayern Munich. He's been linked with other clubs as well. And as well as the links to Mount, according to the Mirror, United are going to be in for West Ham captain Declan Rice. I'm going to talk to you about my worry with him if United were to sign him. Now, Rice, 24 years of age, has established himself as an England starter and a very good Premier League player in the last few years. He breaks up play very well. He is a leader. He can pass the ball pretty good. I don't think he's like Michael Carrick levels in terms of defence splitting passes from deep, but he's pretty good. And he advances the ball well from deep into attacking positions in the circumstances that he finds himself playing in a West Ham shirt. But does he have what it takes to play for your United side that has aspirations of becoming a title-challenging side? And what about other things? Wages, transfer fee, and is there better value out there? Now let's look at the pros. So Declan Rice is what I would probably call a bit of a deep-lying playmaker, really. He breaks up play really well. He has got 1.73 interceptions per game, puts him in the top 5% of European midfielders. He then does well to advance the ball forward and give it to someone that is more creative. He ranks in the top 15% of European midfielders for progressive carries, 2.42. He can pass, and he's been accredited as a good leader. These are the good leader thing, and the things people around him say about him do bode really well. I like the things that people in the game say about him, what his character is like, and all those sorts of things. And he seems like he's pretty good vibes as well, which is never a bad thing. Now, when I look at the worries with Declan Rice, Arsenal are one of the teams rumoured to be strongly linked with Rice this summer, and supposedly £92 million is the price to get his signature. Now, Jude Bellingham has just gone for £88.5 million. What is the difference there with Declan Rice? Because for me, I think Jude's a much better player. Arsenal supposedly willing to pay him $300,000 a week. Now, I don't think he's worth that. And I think United have paid silly money to players for the longest time. I'd like to see us sort of recalibrate that and come down from it. West Ham fans were all over my mentions trying to compare him with Casemiro. Slightly different profile. Casemiro, way more of a defensive player. But although he is way more of a defensive player, he's actually a lot better than him in terms of like creating chances. You know, he has way more assists. He gets way more goals. He's more effective in that sense, and he's the guy that's doing the destroying. If you looked at them purely on their defensive numbers, Casemiro is a world-class defender from midfield in terms of tackles, interceptions, blocks, clearances, aerials. Declan Rice is above average in clearances, average in everything else, and really good on interceptions. You're looking at, he's got a higher pass completion by a few percent than Casemiro. There's more progressive passes by a couple. There's a couple more progressive carries. But realistically, like, there's not that much in between them. For him to be on Casemiro kind of money, he needs to be a level around Casemiro, especially with the transfer fee being talked about. And I don't see that with him. When the priorities exist, and certainly exist in terms of bringing in a striker, if United was to sign Mount and Rice this summer, for the fees that have been talked about, you're talking somewhere in the region of 160, 170 million pounds. That makes no sense whatsoever. No, and are we playing a video game or is this real life? Because if we're playing a video game, yeah, cool, let's do it. If we're in real life here, and then you throw that into the supposed 100 million that Tottenham want for Harry Kane, it just becomes absolutely ludicrous. United are probably going to have one marquee signing. Declan Rice is not good enough to be a marquee signing. If Declan Rice was £60 million, I think he's a really good player. But when you start talking about the 90 or 100s, that's Jude Bellingham territory, and he's not Jude Bellingham. And it's not just a risk. Rice plays well for England. He had a really good World Cup, and he's had some good moments in a West Ham shirt. But Harry Maguire has looked good in an England shirt. Is it big fish, small pond? Could he handle the scrutiny that would surround him at United and the pressure? Can it be a solid midfield option in a side that are trying to compete for a title? We saw with signing Harry Maguire in a team that plays off the back foot, how different it is when you ask that person to defend 1v1 on the halfway line. Could Declan Rice do it in a team that's going to play most of its football in the opposition half? Here's the fact. We don't know. There is no evidence to say he can, as much as there's no evidence to say that he can't. All we can go off is what he does for both England and West Ham is predominantly play off the back foot. Some people are going to not listen to this video and they're going to think this is me slating him. This is, I believe, a very fair assessment of what his capabilities are for what is realistically a world-class fee. Is he value for money? No. Comfortably say he is not value for money at this price. Now, that's not taking into account anything really in terms of his ability to play in the Premier League. You can get players of Declan Rice's ability for probably a third of the price. If United are going to be spending that much on a midfielder, you'd expect him to be able to do everything to the uppermost degree. Casemiro, he's a complete midfielder. He could play the 6, he could play the 8, he could play the 10. I don't think Declan Rice could do that. His scoring and assist record isn't great. Played 50 games in all comps. 5 goals, 4 assists. Is this the progressive midfielder? Is this Frankie de Jong? Really not. And he's playing in a West Ham team that have been shit domestically. Basically only stayed up. Yes, they won the Conference League. And they did so by beating absolute monoliths like AEK Larnaca and Silkeborg. They almost got relegated. You would expect far better numbers from a player valued at somewhere in the region of £100 million. And what's even more worrying is those are his best career numbers to date. I don't think he's dynamic enough to play in the 10, and I'm not sure he's dynamic enough to control a game for a top team. Now, he hasn't been in many big games, but I'm comfortable in saying Declan Rice has not taken any big games by the scruff of the neck. He struggled in the Euro 2020 final against Italy. He did so again in the Conference League final, was completely outplayed by his opposite number. And although West Ham won the game and stats might suggest he played well, he did complete more passes than any other West Ham player. It was 23 passes. It's an embarrassing amount of passes in a final from a player. Rice was not the difference in whether they won or lost that game in either aspect, going forward or without the ball. Amrabat absolutely outplayed him, West Ham's captain. And like I said, yeah, West Ham won, and he was their captain, but you'd expect a player that's going to cost north of 100 million or so to shine in a Conference League final. Under Ten Hag, Rice might make the step up at a team like United, but you want a guy that's going to turn up in the big games guaranteed. And for the cash we're paying, I don't know if he does that. And then finally, to look at his role. What is his immediate role? Because he's not displacing Casemiro in the team. Is he coming in to play alongside him in the bigger games? The bigger games that we've got no evidence that he's going to shine in? Or is he going to sit alongside Bruno and Casemiro week in, week out? If that's the case, where's Mason Mount going to play? I don't know where Declan Rice fits in. If you're going to sign only Rice, I think it's quite straightforward. He goes in alongside Casemiro and he gives you a pretty solid base to build from with Bruno in front of him. But for £90 million, I should be absolutely watering at the mouth. Like Real Madrid just dunking Jude Bellingham and everyone there, £88 million. Wow. How exciting that is. Rice isn't even close to being in that stratosphere at all. So West Ham fans, come and have your say in the comments. I'll give him about as much credence as I will for a fucking Millwall fan because they've not had a world-class player in how long as well. You wouldn't know what fucking genuine quality is because you haven't seen it in so long. Simple as that, right? Simple as that. You don't know what it takes to succeed at a big club because you're not one. And winning a fucking Tin Pot European Cup does not change that. You got outplayed in the final, and if anyone was paying £100 million for a player that played in that game, it'd be Amrabat. Know what I'm saying? See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.